Here we are, the most recent entry into the CC 101 Productions Hazel and Harlow podcast series. This installment is a brief interview with musician-producer Bryan Baker, the man and artist behind the music of this podcast series. Bryan has a rare break from recording and touring at the moment, so we've taken advantage of his being in town to ask him a few questions and let him share a bit of his history with our Hazel and Harlow fans. We are here today with Bryan Baker, composer, musician, guitarist, producer, Renaissance kind of guy. We have been really fortunate to have Bryan do the music tracks for all of the podcasts for Hazel and Harlow. Thanks, Bryan, for being with us.
Sure, pleasure to be here.
Can you tell us, because you are a young artist, yet rumor has it you've been in the industry for a really long time. Can you give everybody at Hazel and Harlow a little bit of an idea of when you started and how you started?
My father is a musician and started playing music from a pretty young age, and started playing professionally when I was in my early teens around Los Angeles, and got a scholarship to a school in LA called the LA Music Academy, which is a college, when I was 13, and I went there for a couple of years. And then I received a scholarship to the Berklee College of Music in Boston when I was 16 maybe, I don't remember. So I went to school in Boston in the East Coast for about 4 years, and then moved to New York, played professionally during that whole time, and now I'm back on the West Coast, my hometown of LA, doing my thing, and yes, that's sort of my background professionally.
Cool. So we've listened to some of your music, and you've got a really varied catalog of styles that you've worked in, and you've done jazz. That seems to be what you're kind of heavy in from what you did when you were younger. And you toured, according to your website. You've got a great website, by the way. So you've worked in jazz quite a bit. You've done the rock thing. You're doing some electronica, some rock-based electronica. You've got a new album out. So let's take advantage of this opportunity to tell our viewers and Hazel and Harlow fans, because I have to tell you the girls think you are quite the cutie. What's going on with your new album?
Yeah, I just released my third album, but in my mind I kind of consider it my first album, because the two albums that I made prior are a little more along the lines of sort of jazz and kind of musician music. And the record I just finished, which is available by going to my website or iTunes or the usual stuff, is kind of a combination of electronic music and rock and hip hop and blues, and basically kind of music that has groove and rhythm and pulse that you can feel. I just finished this in the past year in the studio, in my home studio, recording. I had played all the instruments on it: piano, guitar, bass, drums, vocals. I wrote all the songs, I produced everything. I played synthesizers, and basically every sound that's on the record I played. The record's pretty varied, and that's kind of the same sort of mentality that I brought to the small pieces of music that I've done for this podcast series for Hazel and Harlow. It's just trying to look at the clips and the podcast and make music that fits within the narrative and the sound and everything.
Well, you're awesome at that. You're pretty amazing that you can just kind of sit down and crank out the tunes for the podcast, and we really appreciate it. You have gigs, I think, that'll probably be coming up, hopefully this season, if not here in LA, doing some tours with this new music and this new album. Can we just direct everybody to your website, and will you be keeping your dates and your blog updated, and everybody can kind of follow what your activity is?
Yeah, my website is Bryan Baker Music, Bryan with a Y, bakermusic.com, and you can go there. You can get to my blog and MySpace and Twitter and all of the prerequisite internet things from my website. So just check back there frequently to see when I'll be coming to your town, and for new material. My blog is a great source for a lot of exclusive free downloads of everything from videos, live gigs, to exclusive songs that aren't available anywhere else, to cover songs that the band will do randomly for rehearsals, to interviews, to everything. So you can get to the blog from my website and see what we're up to.
Thank you, Bryan, for your time. Thank you again for your contribution to Hazel and Harlow. We're going to probably tap into you for as long as you'll let us before you're too expensive and too famous to be doing podcast music for Hazel and Harlow. Thanks again for your time, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.
Hazel and Harlow is so fortunate to be surrounded by so many talented artists in all genres that having someone like Bryan sharing his gift for music with us is wonderful, and we're thrilled to know that we can say we knew him when, as this musical master embarks on what will surely be a remarkable career. Check out Bryan's new album release, Nothing Follows But You and I, on his website, bryanbakermusic.com. You can find links to Bryan's music on the Hazel and Harlow blog and website too. That's it for this segment. Stay tuned for more from our continuing podcast series. Until then, cheers from CC 101 Productions and Hazel and Harlow.